A tractor was attempting to cross a river at a location that may have been used as a crossing before, but this time, something was clearly different. The water level and riverbed conditions appear to have changed, and the tractor suddenly entered a deeper section than expected. Within moments, the vehicle began sinking into the water, leaving the people nearby with little chance to control the situation. What may have looked like a familiar route turned into a serious problem because the condition of the crossing had apparently changed. The incident is a simple reminder that river crossings can be unpredictable, especially after changes in water levels, erosion, or the riverbed itself. A route that was safe in the past may not remain safe later, so the depth and condition of the crossing should always be checked before attempting to drive heavy equipment through it. Inside a fabric manufacturing factory, a worker was carrying out what appeared to be a routine task beside a large fabric rolling machine. The machine was operating normally, with the rollers continuously turning as the fabric moved through the production line. While checking the material, the worker used his hand to follow and inspect the fabric as it passed through the rollers. For a moment, everything appeared completely routine, but the situation changed when he moved his hand too far toward the moving section. His hand suddenly became caught by the rotating rollers, and the machine began pulling him toward the nip point. The worker immediately struggled to free himself and managed to get away. He was injured in the incident, but fortunately, he survived. Accidents involving moving rollers can happen extremely quickly because the point where two surfaces move toward each other can pull in hands, clothing, or other objects before a worker has time to react. OSHA specifically identifies these areas as in-running nip points and recommends appropriate guarding and safe work practices around moving rollers. A construction worker was involved in a serious accident while throwing wooden poles down from an elevated building. The worker was standing near the edge of the structure and throwing the poles one by one toward the ground below. The first pole was thrown without any apparent problem, but when he picked up a second pole and threw it down, the situation suddenly changed. A rope connected to the pole appears to have become caught around his neck. As the pole dropped, the rope suddenly pulled the worker forward. He lost his balance and was dragged over the edge of the building, falling to the ground below. Construction sites should use proper safety lines, secure all ropes and materials before moving them, and keep workers away from unprotected edges. Safety harnesses and reliable anchor points should also be used whenever tasks are performed at height. On December 13, 2025, a serious workplace accident was reported at a manufacturing facility in Xi'an, China, involving a worker who was carrying out maintenance on industrial machinery. Security camera footage appeared to show the worker inside the machine's operating area when a robotic arm suddenly moved and pushed him against the equipment. The incident highlights a critical safety principle for industrial maintenance. Machinery must be properly shut down, isolated, and secured before anyone enters its operating area. Simply stopping or pausing a machine may not be enough if the equipment can still restart or move unexpectedly. Proper lockout and isolation procedures are designed to prevent exactly this type of situation. The incident is a serious reminder that automated machinery should never be approached as if it were harmless just because it appears to be stationary. Inside a wire manufacturing facility, a female worker was operating a wire net winding machine as part of the normal production process. The machine was rotating continuously while thin wires were being wound into loops to form the netting. As she worked close to the rotating section, her hand accidentally became caught in one of the wire loops. The moving wire immediately pulled her hand toward the rotating machine, creating a dangerous situation within seconds. She struggled to free herself as the machine continued turning. Other workers noticed what was happening and immediately rushed to stop the machine. Once the equipment was stopped, they worked together to carefully free her from the tangled wires. The accident highlights how quickly rotating wire and winding equipment can become dangerous, even during routine work. Workers should keep their hands away from moving components and never enter the danger zone while machinery is operating. If an adjustment, inspection, or untangling is required, the equipment should first be stopped and properly isolated. A disturbing workplace accident in China was captured on camera when a worker was welding what was reported to be an empty fuel tank. During the welding operation, the heat and sparks appear to have ignited flammable vapors that may have remained inside the tank. In an instant, a powerful blast occurred. Welding and other hot work activities around tanks or containers that previously held fuel or other flammable substances can create a serious fire or explosion hazard if the container has not been properly emptied, cleaned, ventilated, and tested. Similar workplace investigations have shown that welding heat can ignite flammable vapors inside tanks, making atmospheric testing and proper preparation essential before hot work begins. On a highway in Guangdong, China, a roadside towing operation took a dangerous turn when a vehicle approaching from behind suddenly failed to slow down. A tow truck was assisting a disabled car, while a worker stood nearby preparing to load the vehicle onto the towing platform. As the operation continued, the approaching vehicle moved directly toward the back of the tow truck and the people working beside it. The worker had very little time to react, as the situation unfolded in just seconds. The driver of the disabled car also witnessed the incident and appeared visibly shaken afterward. The entire event was captured by a dash cam, highlighting how quickly conditions can change during roadside work. In Pyeongtaek, South Korea, a 40-year-old subcontracted worker was fatally struck by a forklift at a semiconductor factory construction site. The accident happened in the morning, while the worker was carrying out road work at the site. The worker was working near the roadway when the forklift approached, and he was caught underneath it. The incident later raised concerns about workplace safety and the use of multiple layers of subcontracting, with labor representatives arguing that stronger safety management and clearer responsibility were needed at large construction sites. It was a tragic reminder that workers on busy construction roads must remain separated from moving vehicles with proper traffic controls, designated pedestrian areas, and clear communication between drivers and ground workers. At a scrap metal facility, a worker was operating a large hydraulic machine known as an alligator shear. During the operation, he apparently noticed something that he wanted to inspect and leaned into the machine's working area to take a closer look. While he was still positioned near the moving mechanism, the machine suddenly began another cycle. The worker was caught by the moving equipment. The incident highlights the importance of maintaining a safe distance from the operating area of hydraulic shears and similar machinery. If something needs to be inspected, adjusted, or cleared, the equipment should first be stopped and properly isolated according to the required safety procedure. A machine that is operating normally can still become extremely dangerous when someone leans into its working zone. Before the final clip, there's something you might be interested in. I've put together over 1,000 raw accident clips in one collection, so you can explore the footage beyond what's normally shown in edited videos. The link is in the description if you want to check it out. At an industrial facility, a serious workplace accident occurred involving a large automated robotic arm. Security camera footage showed a worker entering an area where the robotic system was operating. At the time, the machine appeared to be carrying out its normal programmed movements, but the worker was inside the robot's operating zone while the equipment was still capable of moving. As the robot continued its cycle, its arm suddenly moved through the area where the worker was positioned. The incident happened extremely quickly, leaving very little opportunity to react once the movement began. The footage serves as an important reminder of the dangers associated with the automated industrial machinery. Robotic arms can move quickly, with significant force, and they may follow programmed movements without being able to recognize that a person has entered their working area. A machine that appears predictable from a distance can therefore become extremely dangerous when someone enters its operating zone. Industrial facilities normally rely on safeguards such as physical barriers, restricted access, emergency stop systems, interlocks, and procedures for isolating machinery before maintenance or other work is carried out. When someone needs to enter a robot's operating zone, the equipment should be properly stopped and isolated according to the site's safety procedures. Another important point is that automated machinery can continue moving even when a worker believes the machine has stopped. A programmed cycle, unexpected restart, stored energy, or another control signal can create movement without much warning. That's why simply standing back and watching the machine is not an adequate safety measure when entering a hazardous area. This tragic incident shows how quickly an ordinary industrial operation can turn into an emergency when a person and a moving machine occupy the same danger zone.